Hey there, StarCraft fans! It's Falcon Paladin coming at ya with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. And today it's going to be a match between Harstem and Ragnarok here on Repugnancy, the latter edition. Thanks again to Sniper Monkey for screening these all for me and finding the best ones. Bottom left it is the red Zerg player Ragnarok, and top right it is the blue Protoss player Harstem. Alright, now, probe scouting around. Here is Harstem. It's not really early enough or 4G enough to be a cannon rush, and you don't wall off down there anyway if you are going for a forge first. Although it is possible, it's just more risky is what it is. It is a gateway according to the production tab. So Harstem, the Dutch Protoss, loved and beloved. Loved loved and beloved by many here. Let's go ahead and take a look. I want to take a look at Ragnarok's Wikipedia page real quick. If you search Ragnarok, like it's all about the movie these days. So really bad timing there, Ragnarok. But he is a Korean Zerg player playing for Shivo SC. And yeah, he's been around at least since 2011, so quite some time. He's a bit of an older player. Played back in Wings of Liberty as well. Seems to be playing better now than he has been in the past. So interesting to see what is up with this guy here. Oh, and the hatch. Behold the proxy hatch out of Ragnarok. He's trying to throw a wrench into Harstem's plans for sure. And same thing over here. Block on the other side, pylon going down. As that pool is about 50% complete. Not really much to stop that from happening either. So yeah, enough probes to get pulled off, and then chrono boosting out a couple zealots will shut this thing down before it finishes. If you want to get it done before it finishes, because there's creep left over if you kill it after it's done. Anyway, what are we looking at? It's going to be close. With the Zealot DPS, it's going to help immensely. And it is going to finish, actually. Huh. Nope, canceled. Canceled at the very last second. Drone's coming in for a scout to see if there's anything he needs to worry about at this stage. But no, there's nothing. There's nothing yet, anyway. No higher tech choices. Third base does get taken by Ragnarok up that way, and the pylon got canceled at Ragnarok's natural as well. There's your expansion for Harstem, and I think we're settling down. I think we're settling down to basically what should have been just a one-gate expand versus a hatch first play out of Ragnarok. Ah, yes, Adept. Two-shotting them workers. Boo, yeah. And moving on out. Adept's going to go for that harass. Zerglings are out. They're not going to have speed for a bit of time, though. Queen coming up inside the main base. There's already a queen here ready to move down to the natural as necessary. The third base is going to be a little bit exposed. But if Ragnarok is smart, he's not going to saturate that thing until he can protect it anyway. I believe that's generally how that works. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're thinking, man, you've cast some shorter matches recently, Falcon. Yes, that's true, because I actually have a screener. So I've got Sniper Monkey going through and finding the good ones. So previously, if I was like, if it's not 15 to 20 minutes, I don't know how I feel about it. But some really, really good games have come out of stuff that is shorter than 15 to 20 minutes, or shorter than 20 minutes at least. So it's nice. I think it's going to be good. I think you're going to really enjoy the games that you see. And just always remember, in the current patch of Legacy of the Void, there are so many starting workers that it just means we're getting into these games super fast. There's already a Adept harass at 3 minutes. That's what I'm talking about, right? Already a proxy hatch coming up early. I mean, there's just been action nonstop here. This is not just players macroing up and ignoring each other for 10 minutes, and there's one big battle and it's over. Like, that's definitely not what we're looking for here. Anyway, Overlord is scouting the front door. A bunch of Lings are out. Surprising number of Lings, honestly. I guess dealing with the Adept. Anticipated there'd be more, but turns out it was wrong about that. And that is something that can hurt you, man. Can hurt you in your worker count. Ah, get a surround. Get a surround. Yeah. War Prism saves her anyway. Surround would not have helped. Overlord comes in, sees the sentry, sees the robotics facility making immortals. Says, sentries and immortals, eh? Is that what we're going with today? And this is kind of a time I like to go Mutalisks. To be honest, I mean, it takes a long time to get to a lair and a long time to get to a spire, but if you can go mutas in time, it can work out. And maybe it's not viable at the highest professional levels, but at my D2 level, it seems to be doable. And maybe that's because their timings aren't hitting fast enough, right? Maybe D2 version of this build is not the same as Harstem's version of this build, which is definitely absolutely 100% accurate. But yeah, Muta's not bad. You definitely don't want Zerglings, though, and Roaches alone are not going to do it. You want some Ravagers. The Ravagers are the traditional answer here, but Muta's also surprisingly very, very good. Sentry DPS, better against Mutas than you'd expect, but the Mutas are going to wreck everything anyway. It's better than you'd expect, but it doesn't mean that it's good, you know? Yeah, this Immortal production is continuing. Gateway coming up. Second, what the heck is killing stuff? Ah, yes, the Warp Prism that we saw earlier. This is doing Adept Harass. And taking some shots before the recall gets her out of there. Warp Prism does manage to escape. I think robots. Warp Prisms are robots, I believe is how this works, but whatever. So 3 base in it. Here is Ragnarok getting that gas, man. That is some serious gas taken at that 3rd base. We've got 3 extractors running right now. There's your first Ravager. 14 Lings are in production too. Trying to keep an eye on this Warp Prism, and he does find it over on the other side of the map after the recall. It's pretty amazing. So here we go. Sentry Immortal for attack number 2 here. I guess maybe 3 if we count the first Adept Harass and the second Adept Harass as individual attacks, which I suppose you could do if and you were so inclined. So yeah, it's a very early Sentry Immortal attack, and if you only have Zerglings versus this, you're gonna die. Are the force fields gonna be enough? Yes, probably, but the Ravagers can both Corrosibile down the force fields and Corrosibile the stuff inside the force fields. And there it is. That's what I'm talking about. So you bait out force fields early. Right? You bait out the force fields early, so the sentries, when they actually show up, they don't have as much force field on your side of the map. Actually, all the sentries are going to die now. So Ragnarok just kind of wrecked that entire thing by catching it out of the map with Ravagers and Zerglings and shutting it down post-haste. Like, what I've seen in the past is definitely more of a get that force field energy expended. But no, I'm just going to kill everything now instead. How's that sound? All right, man. Ravagers and Lings at your front door is a bad feeling. Taking down that Cyber Core would be a big deal. Harstem immediately starts rebuilding a replacement Cyber Core because he knows he's going to need that for further tech. He's going to depower both these Warp Gates. Army supply is 60 to 37. Zerg has the lead. But again, Ravagers are pretty heavy on supply and not that good in actual oomph. So the Immortals and the Zealots here have got to be able to hold. I really don't know that Harstem can hold here. I'm looking at it, trying to see if this is going to work out. I mean, the Zealots are ready to go. They don't have charge, so they're not that ready to go. But killing those buildings, and I think maybe Ragnarok's done with it. Is he done? Nah. Ragnarok is cool. He's cool with everything right now. Pulling back, trying to make sure there's not a 3rd base he needs to take down. He's on 3 bases compared to the 2 for the Protoss. He doesn't have as many workers as the Protoss does, but I think he can probably change that soon. And he is droning a little bit behind this, recognizing, okay, I'm ahead. Maybe I'm just going to stay more ahead if you're into that kind of thing. This observer scouting around, checking the saturation levels on these bases and said, you know, everything's okay. I think we're good. Is he not getting charged? Why is he not getting charged? So confused by this. I guess he lost the Cyber Core, so he couldn't make a Twilight Council anyway. Maybe that's what it is. It delayed his ability to get a Twilight and get charged, but he's not getting a Twilight anyway. He's making a ton of Zealots that don't have charge. Which, okay, maybe alright in an offensive situation, I guess. Maybe better in defense. I don't know. Still, charge makes them about 1 billion times better than they would be otherwise. So yeah, Ragnarok saturating up a little bit here, making more Roaches, more Ravagers, getting Glio Reconstitution out. Kind of would feel better if Ragnarok was just droning up this whole time instead of working on additional army supply, but it's kind of the Zerg way, right? If you're safe, drone, and then start making army when you need it. Now, the when you need it side of things is really difficult. Oh, these Lings. These Lings are in trouble. He's trying to get a surround here. Oh, man. The force field. Yeah, a couple of them made it out. But these Lings are dead. There's nowhere for them to go. Maybe a handful of them will escape. And by that I mean 1. That force field was sick. And the warp in too. Yeah, that was brutal. That was an execution of those Lings. He's like, stop running around on my side of the map. I will kill you. And he does. Harstem's force field's insanely good. Okay, Roach Ravager ready to go here. Army supply 100 to 87 in favor of the Zerg. But again, not enough necessarily here to win this battle. I am still shocked and appalled we don't have charge on these Zealots. But hey, whatever. Harstem knows more than I do. Corrosibiles landing, whiffing, because they're so freaking easy to dodge, even if you're an Immortal and you're slow. It's not that big a deal. Harstem being the aggressor right now. That first attack got absolutely handled. Ragnarok, again, I think made the mistake of not just droning up to like 60 workers after that and fully saturating all 3 bases. So we'll see if he can hold here. He should have a better situation, but he doesn't. All right, man. Force fields are up. Force fields are all over the place. Some Zealots come in and die instantly, maybe killing a Roach or 2. Maybe a Roach total, but the Immortals are better against these Roaches without question. Corsobile lands. Queen overextends herself a little bit. Does get massacred for her efforts. The third base coming up for Harstem behind this. And an Overlord, or Overseer rather, checking all that too. So, gonna come down to this third base. If Harstem can kill this third base, Ragnarok is dead. If not, Ragnarok is okay. It's continuing to make lings now. Recognizing the force field energy is pretty low on these oracles. You can see on the sentries. Ah! Somicron, why'd you do that to me? He's been calling them ground oracles to be funny, and it messes me up. Sentries, rather. Sentry energy is low. Lings are probably a pretty good answer here. If you can wrap around this backside and prevent the retreat, and then just kind of go in. Here we go. Splitting the army. Coming up and around. Lings getting the mix. Force fields happening there. Flank attack happening. Corrosive Vials going down on the middle, taking out a couple Stalkers. Sentry taking serious hits there as well. Can he do this? Is the question. He's trying to get in there. It is looking really iffy right now for the Protoss player. But at the same time, the Immortals are alive. And if the Immortals are alive, the Dream is alive. Stutter stepping forward. Ragnarok feels extremely confident. Not focusing down the Immortal he was attacking earlier. There we go. That one goes down. Corrosive Vials landing. And the juggling is pretty good, but if all your juggling is a handful of Immortals, you're going to have a bad time. And Ragnarok manages to hang on to his third base. He needs to start taking a fourth base about now, if that's okay. And army supply 68 to 23. Harstem lost a ton of stuff there. He is moving into Disruptor, figuring that's probably what you want against these Ravagers and Roaches and Lings, and seems reasonable. Takes a couple of wounded Roaches, turns them into full health Ravagers, because that's what Morphin does. And I don't think there's enough here. Unless there's a really good Disruptor shot here, I think Harstem might just be done. Coming on in, Purification Nova, catching a couple Ravagers. That might do it. That might be enough, but again, maybe not. Corrosive Vials landing, dodging. It's so hard to dodge those while you're trying to do everything else. The Warp Prism juggling is really fantastic here, too. Nova does catch another couple Ravagers, but they keep coming. Corrosive Vials landing on the Disruptors. Disruptors are out, and that's it. Good game. Ragnarok takes the game with the counter attack. Very, very nicely done by him. And again, I think he could have had this a little bit easier. I mean, ruffle stomping that first Immortal Sentry attack should have just been the game. And it was. I mean, he won eventually. But I'm just saying, I'm very surprised he didn't just fully saturate all three of his bases. Maybe even taking a fourth, and then just keep on top of his injects. And then when Harstem's attack comes in, he just has an army that's twice as big. That's what I would expect to happen here, but he didn't. You can't make an army. Maybe he's just anticipating the counterattack a little bit sooner than he thought. Maybe just playing a little bit cautious. But in the end, the Ravagers, the Roaches make it happen. And he gets the win. So good stuff. I know it's a shorter match, but I hope it was a lot of fun for you, a lot of fun for me for sure, because that's going to be it from me today. So this has been Falcon Paladin coming at you with yet another edition of StarCraft 2 Legacy of the Void. Go ahead and hit that like button. Hit that subscribe if you like what you saw and what you heard today. You can also catch me on Twitter, Facebook, Patreon, and Twitch. All at /Falcon Paladin. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for watching, and you take care of yourself.